What is up, guys, and welcome to episode 2 of the Nexus podcast. Today we are doing our Worlds recap, and we are going to talk about the impending year 2 of Battle Spirits. Hope everyone's doing well, and looking forward to another great show today. How are you doing, Emmy? You okay?
Yeah, we're back. I'm still jet lagged, but doing well. Yeah, doing well. I think I took a bit of a break. I tried to take a break, but I actually love this game, so I keep like watching videos and talking about cards already. And year 2, we're all excited. And we're already building anti-Hydra decks, so that's what set 4 is realistically. But yeah, no, doing well. How you doing, Harry?
I'm good, yeah. Similar. I mean, I've always found that like it's after a big tournament where you have the most fun with the game, and like the weeks preceding a big tournament or when it's the most restrictive. So surprisingly, it's like as soon as the tournament's done and you'd expect to want nothing to do with the game, you're like, oh, I can actually have some fun now. Let's go. So yeah, definitely good vibes going into set 4. Fun time in the US, and yeah, jet lagged as well, but it makes you appreciate London more, you know, makes you appreciate Europe. So that Kieran, how about you? You only got back on Sunday, I hear. You're probably the most jet lagged of us all.
Yeah, I got back on Sunday and straight to work on the Monday. Pretty brutal, but it's alright. Pro card game player moves, right? Surely. So yeah, no, I've just been back and kind of same with Emmy. I took a break from Battle Spirits after Worlds because enjoying my holiday. I got back and then I was testing set 4 all of Monday and Tuesday. So
Wow.
yeah, back to it.
Yeah, I can't say
What about you, Josh?
I can't say I've been testing too much myself. I've been just chilling out, catching up with a lot of work, and yeah, just not really thinking about card games too much. But I am excited for the next set. There's a lot of the games changing quite a bit, so we'll probably get into that a bit later. But first, of course, we have to talk about Worlds and recap how we all did. Kieran obviously doing the best of us, getting into top 16, so congratulations there, buddy. But yeah, we'll hop over to the screen and we'll have a little talk about each of our days, and probably go into more depth with Kieran's choice as he did so well. So let's switch. Alright, so we're starting off with Harry's build on the rocks. Do you want to take it away, Harry?
Indeed. So yeah, I guess for context, like throughout the year I've been part of a team, and we've generally approached the tournaments from a team building perspective where we all work on a deck, but unfortunately I was the only one of my team to attend Worlds, so I was a lone ranger, a free agent, and I was picked up, procured, headhunted by a couple of talented mandala enthusiasts with whom they saved me a lot of time because I didn't really have much time in December and January. You know, I was like changing jobs and relationship stuff and whatnot. It was like a lot of real life stuff that unfortunately took time away from testing. So Marv and Enoch, I think that definitely saved me a lot of time, and Marv in particular, like we worked really closely on his build. So yeah, it was mainly just working with them. As we got closer to it, I think, I mean, obviously you won't have Marv's top 16 list pulled up, but my interpretation deviated a bit, mainly just from like testing against the red mid-range matchup a lot and finding that it was a bit too even. Like even after the Aegises came in, the Aegises really stabilized the matchup quite a lot alongside our Rain, but it was just losing the Nexuses was really difficult. And towards the end, I found that like base Infernal King was just really good for that matchup. It was quite unexpected. The worst situations are when they're attacking you quite aggressively early on, and base Infernal King can just like kill 2 or 3 things, buy you a turn, ramp you some cores. But that did come at the expense of the sort of general fluidity of the deck compared to Marv's, where it was like more, it had the victory oaths and the draw spells and stuff like that. So I was hoping to dodge red, I guess, but still sort of hold up against it. And as it turned out, like I played against, I think like 4 or 5 red or something, and just a lot of Andromedas into Burning Forces and Dead Canyons for me. So in hindsight, like the sort of Steel Leaves mothership structure would have been a better choice with that red paranoia in mind, I guess. But again, like we didn't have loads of time in the run up to it to adjust it on more of a matchup basis. It was more of just a general deck cohesion basis. But yeah, it was fun. And in terms of the actual playing out of it, like I don't need a tournament report, but they were generally close, well fought matches. I think my last round against Zach Bell was a bit of a clapping, as nice a guy as he is. He did just absolutely wallop me. But the rest of them were like, like I lost one in time to like cards in deck, and one to like having 2 Ice Shield in the bottom 12, stuff like that, where it's just like it happens sometimes, but when it's your day, it's your day, and when it's not, it's not. Still a great time overall, and I guess obviously I would have made changes to the deck in hindsight, but like Worlds is the hardest room to guess, and Battle Spirits is a game where if you guess the room correctly, you do well, but you've got so many different cultures, as it were, coming together in this one event. So I still would have played Mandala. Like I liked it a lot. I've never really played with it before. It was a cool win con. And yeah, again, I was very happy to work with Marv and Enoch and Emmy, Frankie. Like there was a lot of Julia as well. There was a lot of collaboration going into it. So yeah, a fun time overall. Could have done better though. Went 4-4. Sad times. No money for me this time.
All right, so yeah, a cool idea for a deck. There was a few iterations of this kind of pile sort of mill. I ran into a few of them. Very difficult strategy to play around if you're playing a control build. You're in trouble really. So, but yeah, a lot of red mid range in the field, I would say. I don't know the exact numbers, but I feel like there was quite a lot. I definitely saw a lot. Sure. But yeah, Emmy. So your deck, Flaming Trunk. If you want to talk about your day and your matchups.
I want to just ask a couple of questions before we jump.
Of course.
Because I think we actually didn't have time to like debrief, and the first time I see the deck myself. I guess like instead of a question, I'll just call out some cards, and I want to hear like how did they do and why you pick. I think to me jumps the 1 Andromeda, the 2 Impaler Forests, and the 2 Soldier Penton inside.
So the 1 Andromeda, I guess like you didn't bring it up, but the 1 Cavalier was just there for the K toolbox as well. It was similar with the 2 Infernal King, where it was like if you run 2 of it, you're pretty assured in getting it, whereas the Cavalier was just like fine as a one-off. I'd have probably run 2 in hindsight. With the Andromeda, it was just to have it for Impaler Forest, because again, like you're drawing through your whole deck. In a mirror match, which again, like we were expecting some number of other pile. It's like I want to be able to kill their Impaler Forest, so if they Mandala mill my Andromeda, I'll be able to get it back off Impaler Forest. It was actually quite relevant within that context. It wasn't too bad. And then the second in the side again, just to ensure you see it. And then in terms of the side, and I was saying this to like Marv and Julia in the run up to it. This was not the best thing to do, siding for the mirror compared to just siding more copies of Mandala or K or whatever. But as I was on the train leaving for the airport, because obviously I spent ages thinking about like how you can win Mandala mirrors and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, okay, so if I have Reanimate Burst, and they Mandala deck me out, I can reanimate, get 1 Wonderland Pentan back, put the second one on top of my deck, and then I don't lose. Like, I get the extra turn and then I win. And the 1 counter sword was there for similar because the counter sword stops the variant a bit like ours like mine and Marv's, we ran the crush target for the Mandala discard, so you mill 18 in one turn instead of 12. The reanimate trick wouldn't stop that variant, but counter sword would top deck Mandala and stop you losing an extra 6. I was like tentative on siding it, but then I pulled the Worlds reanimate and I was like, it's destiny. The Wonderland Pentad wasn't that bad, and to be fair, it got funny reactions from people where literally like people would pick it up, read it, and like one person was like, is Mandala an Otherlander? And I'm like, no, I fucking wish. Otherwise it'd be at 4.
Hilarious.
Good,
No,
good vibe ultimately.
That makes sense. Nice. Thank you.
I love the use of Pentan anyway. That's very, very interesting take, and I wish you pulled that off. That would have been really interesting to hear about.
I milled all of my reanimate. Sorry, I milled the one reanimate every time in the mirror, unfortunately.
Oh,
and like
no.
they would look at the reanimate and still not quite figure it out, and then I'd explain it after the game ended, and they're like, "Oh, God, like that's really jokes," but it never came off, unfortunately.
All right, so Emmy, onto your list. Flaming Trunk. Let's go.
Yeah, so it's the Gemini list from the Golden Trunk from Frankie, main partner in crime for leading up to Worlds. So shout out to him for helping a lot. Ultimately, I think leading up to Worlds, there was a lot of like ramp decks that we tried, and literally we were like maybe 5 cards away from the list that did the best in terms of like ramp decks. We were just too scared of red being too popular and Starblast Draw to really commit. So ultimately, we made a call like, okay, let's just try to build the best red and the best yellow. This is essentially a Nova control. I guess I'll just talk about like a couple of cards. The one card that similarly everyone was picking up and reading all day was Flame Crystal from set 2. And this card has a very good interaction with Apollodinos. Don't know if you want to pull up Flame Crystal, but just to talk quickly about it. The level 1 does a BP boost when a spirit is blocked, and level 2 lets you attack directly. So this interaction with Apollodinos works that if you manage to attack directly, you skip first flash. So the BP boost, depending on how you want to resolve Apollodinos or Flame Crystal first, allows you to like choose if you want to pop a spirit or if you want to boost the Apollodinos and pop a spirit. So it did come up a couple of times, and besides that crazy combo, which sometimes lets you pop 2 spirits, it's really strong. The direct attack with the Soul Core is still really good because most players leave a Soul Core on spirits. So
yeah, I mean, I can attest to leaving Soul Cores and Spirits when we were having some practice. I did it so many times that I got like PTSD for Flame Crystal as a card in general. To be fair,
yeah, it was a really interesting, very niche game 1 choice. Obviously, that would come out immediately on game 2 because they see it, they play around it. So I would side into a Seabed instead. But essentially it was a red control that wanted to take advantage of the early mid-range of red, 2 Baculus to deal with white, 3 Nomengard to deal with yellow and red, and nothing else crazy. The 1 Double Heart that won me exactly 0 games because we're at Worlds. Everyone knows if you have a Soul Core, you're trying to double heart, so never caught anyone off guard.
This has been power boost instead.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and I also got the power boost, the shiny one, so I should have played that. But just quickly talk about like what I lost against. I also went 4-4. Unfortunately, not the best performance. I lost against Andy Rizzo turn 1, round 1. He was playing a white red, which was what I tested for 2 weeks, and I won a local as well with it. But then I chickened out. I lost against Kai, who was playing white, and I felt pretty okay against white because of the 2 Baculus. And in our first game, I've established early peaks, and I was like toolboxing really efficiently, bringing back the Dynamans and Eagles, but he was just better at the game. And the third one against a red mid range, which I should have definitely won, but both games I lost 2-0. Both games I drew both of my Baculus, and my elephants were in the bottom half of the deck. Nothing I can do there. And then the last loss was against the Mandala on game 3, round 8, and I was on 12 cards and I got Mandala'd on time. Ooh. It was rough. It was really, really bad. Ultimately, I think, you know, I was happy with my choice, and the side was well reasoned. You know, against
how did Joker work out for you? Because obviously,
so the Joker was
that's a favorite from like the middle of the season. Everyone was using that for a bit.
Yeah, the Joker was against white, like side out 3 elephants with 3 jokers. The counter sword was for the Novas, the flood stream against aggro, which I'm glad I did put because I did face a white aggro. Jokers were fine. I think ultimately, you know, it was a mix of things, a bit like of, you know, jet lag, a bit of like nerves. Like I think I did a couple of misplays. I was unlucky a couple of times, to be completely honest, but it's a card game. Sometimes you're lucky, sometimes you're unlucky. But overall, really great experience. Shout out to everyone I played against. Everyone was great opponent, and like really speaks volume for the community. Like never had a problem. Actually, I guess in the whole season 1, year 1, maybe like minor things, but nothing huge player wise. So shout out to everyone. But yeah, this was pretty much the deck.
Cool. What would you say you would change, or what would you have done differently based off of you being unhappy with your final result? What would you have done differently if you could turn back time?
It's tough to say because I think like based on my play style, I think this was the right list. I think I should have. I mean, we all thought there was a lot of like red and yellow, and there was 0 yellow, right? Like literally, I don't know how many you guys have seen. Obviously, Long Dao did very well. Frankie was playing yellow.
Aaron.
There were a few, but Aaron was playing luster, I guess.
Yeah, I actually lost to Aaron, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, you were next to me.
Cheshire held it down for a while as well from Hong Kong and top tables. I don't know, Kieran might have been sat next to him for a while. Like I sat next to him round 1 and he's like, I really hope I don't play against you. I can't be Mandela. I'm like, yeah, that's why I brought it. And there was no yellow.
Theo from Tea Time Gaming as well was also on yellow.
I will say out of my 8 rounds of Swiss, I did play against 3 yellows.
Ooh, yeah, fair enough.
You lucky son of a gun.
I played against all white. Like literally all day is just white and red. So I wish I found some yellow, but no, to change, I think I would have probably maybe went with my other choice. There were shout out to like few people came to me and said that they brought Hot Wings, a version of Hot Wings like green red, based on the Pro Tour list that I used.
Nice.
And that was one of my considerations as well. But yeah, I think this was this was the correct choice on my play style. Obviously, I would make some changes, but right now I can't even think what kind of like immediate changes. I guess like maybe the suppression instead of the Torn Prism was a thing during the day. I was thinking, man, I really wish this was a suppression and not a Torn Prison.
Yeah,
I
makes
guess
sense.
that's one change.
All right. Well, thanks for that, Emmy. And
yeah, let's look at yours.
yeah, let's get into mine, I guess. So yeah, I did really well. I did. I wasn't really expecting anything because I didn't put in as much time as I wanted to. But I ended up deciding that the room was going to be full of red, mainly because last time I didn't think it would be. It was, and I played yellow. So this time I was like, I'm not going to play yellow because I'm going to run into red all day. And lo and behold, I did. So pretty much, yeah, I just played white control. Pretty much hard countering red. I to be fair, at least it felt like that on the day. So I'll just quickly go through some of the key cards and decisions. So I decided, a lot of people will probably question this and be like, why? But I decided not to play Numengard City. And the reason being is I wanted to play some like a more smaller units than white control generally does. So I played, this is probably my key spirit for the day, Buldir. He doesn't look like much, but this guy he pretty much won me 2 games, I'd say, just because, I mean, my first game, I played Ryan Valentino from Team Duelist, True Duelist, sorry. And he basically said that this card just ruined him because his removal was either red or purple, and his whole thing was basically drawing cards every turn. So he basically just stopped his deck dead, really. So game 1 was fairly easy. Now I don't want to be cocky about it, but all of the red matchups were like fairly breezy. Because, like I say, I'm basically running purely anti-red, basically. Grey Garma as well was really good in the main as a 4. I actually used him quite a lot to finish games because a lot of people were using Dream Bomb, which I predicted would be the case. And so the armor white really came in clutch when I was swinging for game there. But yeah, basically the deck was pretty much your typical. It was, well, not typical, I guess not so typical, but it was more of a kind of like rush diner deck, but playing small units instead of trying to high roll with the Numengard, kind of taking my reductions into my own hands. Starblessed Draw was probably the MVP card of the day. Heaven Piercing Castle didn't come up that much, actually. I probably would remove that.
Yeah, you were like on and off on that card. I think I was pretty supportive of it, but you didn't feel like it was.
Yeah, I mean, I ended up going with 7 Nexuses instead of 8, which in the end felt pretty okay. Mothership was really good. Shout out to Enoch. He was the one who basically said, do I even need Numen City because I'm playing Buldir, and he was right. And yeah, so pretty much I went 5-3, snuck into top 32, which was an amazing result for me. I was not expecting that at all. I was hoping for top 64. So yeah, I mean, I only one extra win on top of these guys that are really disappointed, but for me, it was a really good result. Turbo Rex was great as well. Turbo Rex was I had a funny moment with Ryan actually in the second game of our match. I played Turbo Rex when he was pretty much on the edge of dying, and he was just like, I'm already dead, man. Why are you dropping a Turbo Rex on me? And it just made me laugh because I don't know, I kind of put this in because of Emmy, really. Emmy loves this card so much, and it always seems to turn the game. And having a one of it worked quite well, just because I had the Grey Garma or the Sheriff Eagle. Sheriff Eagle, I only had it 2. I know that's another thing that a lot of people might think strange because people seem to be using it at 4 a lot. I just didn't rate the card into red. Like, whenever I played it in the red matchup, it would just get chewed up immediately by Apollo-Dinos or Ritual Fire. So it just didn't test well compared to the other 2, which I have a 4 of. And then, yeah, my sideboard. Oh, I had free Floodstream in the main as well, which was Emmy's influence. Like, I was really reluctant, but what basically spurred me to make the decision to keep the Floodstream was having the Infinity Mothership in. That like made it viable. Yeah, I had like just normal sideboard. I had an extra Turbo Rex for the yellow matchup. The Tank Mobile, I didn't actually use it all day, so kind of disappointing to waste 3 slots in my sideboard, but there you go. Volcanic Break. Harry loves his, again, influenced by you guys, Harry loves his one of Volcanic Breaks, and it really did come in clutch. I had a beautiful play on my second game. I was playing, I don't know if you guys remember, there was a player that was using Double Heart in the main step on Dyna. He was on stream for Pro Tour or something, Adrian. But yeah, I played him in the second game, and I had 2 life, and he thought he was swinging for game with he had Dyna and Dragon Ship, and he activated the unblockable with Dyna. I let him take the damage, and then he swung with the Dragon Ship, and I used the Avalanche to bounce it. And then he went to, basically, he was annoyed because he thought he'd won. He went to kind of skip turn, and I was like, no, wait a second. I then paid 5 for Volcanic Break to kill his Dyna in the same attack step. And that basically won me the game there and then. So,
Ouch.
yeah, it was pretty nice. Because obviously he was playing like a red-white sort of situation, so he was undercoring Dyna, so couldn't bring it back to life. But yeah, so I basically won against red and sort of pile decks all day, but I'll just quickly go through my losses. I lost to a sort of high roll pure green Gale deck, which is a real surprise. I wasn't expecting to lose to that. But he basically aggroed me down. We won 1-1, and then game 3 he just aggroed me down. I saw 1 Ice Shield in the 3 games. It was really close either way. So yeah, that was a close one. I lost to Luster. My deck basically auto loses to yellow. Yeah. And I played against Aaron, who kind of knew what I was doing. So yeah, that was an auto lose. My other auto lose, which was a bit of a risky one considering how the field ended up, was like Mandala decks that like really stalled well. And I played a guy called Jesse Smith. We had a bit of discrepancy during the game because he kept soft cheating me. I don't know if it was by accident because he was tired but yeah, guys, when you're in tournaments, like, draw and discard the right amount of cards, please. You know, you shouldn't have to have your opponent call you out at Worlds and then act like you're tired about it. But yeah, little bitch there. But yeah, and the one epic part of the tournament, which is like, I guess the reason I got into top 30, was I was playing White Control Mirror against a player called Jorit from he's from Europe. I can't remember which country he's from. But we were basically both playing Dyna Rush. He was playing Mandala first, but I discovered that Dyna Rush beats Mandala White. So he quickly sided them out. But basically, in the third game, we were both reluctant to play Nexuses, and then I was at 3 life, so he decided to go for it. So he played an extra 2 Nexuses. He was on 5 life at this point, but I'd already extorted, I think, 3 Ice Shields. I think he used free what's the card called? Aegis. He used 3 Aegis to get his life from 2 back to 5. And yeah, so he attacked me. I managed to get out of it. And the next turn, I was dead in the water. I had nothing basically to keep myself alive. So I played 2 more Nexuses, played 3 more Spirits, swung with Dyna, put the Soul Core. He was at 5 life. I just put the soul core in the trash, and I was like, all unblockable, just to see if I could OTK him it was like turn 12 or something. And yeah, he just shook my hand immediately. We didn't even go through the process. And I was just like, I couldn't contain myself. I was like, yes.
Sometimes you gotta try, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I was just sitting there. I was like, I'm gonna lose if I try and defend myself, you know. So I was like, play 2 Nexuses, play 3 more spirits, swing 5 things unblockable, and yeah, it did the job. And yeah, all around that was my lucky moment of the tournament, which eventually got me to top 30. So, but yeah, really, really great tournament. It was lovely to meet everyone that I did meet, and yeah, I wasn't around the second day I wanted to be, but I was playing Dragon Ball next door, so which was kind of fun as well. But yeah, it wasn't Battle Spirits. But yeah, let's move on to the main event now. Oh, unless you guys got any questions, it's only white control though, so I guess.
Yeah, I guess quickly on the Dragon Ball thing, like obviously you have a long history with the Dragon Ball Supercard game that's recently transitioned into Fusion World. Are you planning to jump headfirst into Fusion World?
No. I mean, I the tournament I played was the first ever tournament for Fusion World, and I wanted to go there just to meet, because I've been involved with the community, and I did like a podcast actually with the tier 0 judge for Dragon Ball. So I basically went there to meet him and meet some of my peers from the game I previously played. But you know, Fusion World's kind of just I don't want to like completely crap on it, but it's kind of a watered down version of Masters, which is what I play for fun.
There is a web client for Fusion World, right?
That's true. Yeah,
that's probably why they're doing it. Is to push
yeah. Well, I think the reason they've done it is because Masters is very, very complicated, and
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to get new player base in because it's very like convoluted, and it's very difficult, like getting people to come to locals. You know, they need to be prepared to lose for 6 months straight, kind of thing, to even like get involved. And you know, people ain't got time for that. People want to have a bit of joy when they're playing. So no, yeah, it's a much more simple version of the game. It's kind of reverting back to set 1, but I think they've like refined it from. It's not the same as it was, you know. But again, it's a different game. If I could compare it to
no Senzu Bean shenanigans.
No, nothing like that. They probably will bring Senzu Bean back. But no, I mean, if I could compare it to any game that's out right now, it'd be Lorcana, which is poopy. So yeah.
Interesting. So is it that uninteractive? Like I only know a bit about Fusion World.
Yeah, there's no negates.
Super combo. Oh yeah, no negates.
There is super combos. It's basically the whole game is combo based now, and it's like swing. Like the amount of opponents I had where it was like no negates, and they'd say it to me as well. And it's like, yeah, there is no negates in the game. Like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, oh god, sorry, it's force of habit. But yeah, I mean, I say it in Battle Spirits sometimes as well. I get it all mixed up, but no, all around a fun day, and the whole convention was pretty cool. Didn't really like the location, pretty sketchy for people holding things with money and stuff. But you know, there you go. Hopefully next time it'll be in London. Bring it home, Bandai. Bring it home. But yeah, let's get on to the main event. Our top 16 hero, Kieran. Kieran
Hello.
took a Smaug pile.
Yeah.
And yeah, tell us how it did.
Yeah, I mean, it performed probably better than what it was. I mean, so I've been testing with R2, Sampo, and Aaron quite a lot for the last few months, and funny story, we all end up playing 4 different separate decks, completely just separate decks. I think Aaron was on Luster, R2 was on White Control, Sampo, shout out to him, he got top 16 with Purple, which was like a 1 week pick for him, and I played Smag. So for two of our testing team getting to like topping at Worlds is really awesome to see. But yeah, so I went with Smag in the end. I've said many times before, I love ramp decks in card games, and I stick true to that. I tried to make Gale work. It did not for me. No matter how much I tried, it was just so far off, and it didn't feel good to play. It felt way too high rolling. I know that's the nature of the deck, but it didn't feel good to play. I've been taking Smag decks to locals for like the last few weeks leading up to Worlds. I kind of just took it because I wanted to play something different, and I wanted to play ramp deck, and I kind of fell in love with it. Over the like 2 weeks I played this kind of variant. Um, and really, like one of the main reasons I wanted to play this list is last time I played something I really liked, I won the event, and I played it because I just liked ramping. And second, like the best two events for me leading up to the year was the launch event, top four, where I played Bacchus Curse Dragon, and the win at Liverpool, where I played Rain. And this was a deck that let me play kind of both of those together in one. And I kind of wanted to do something like that. And basically, I said the deck had to have Rain in it. That's the only deck I'm taking to Worlds. It has to have Rain. I had 4 SPRs of her. Now got the 4 Worlds versions. Got a player.
Very nice.
But yeah, so I took the Smag variant with the top end of 4 Curse Dragon, 3 Bacchus. Very, very high on the Bacchus Curse Dragon combo in the main deck. It's good reliable, right? Like, it board wipes anything in the game. I mean, yeah, sure, Fuller, whatever, but like, barely anyone's playing that, besides, I guess, the world's winning list, right?
I had Fuller in mind, but
Yeah,
it
like
didn't
some
really
people do
come up
have
too
it.
much.
I think one thing I was scared of, I think like a lot of this was testing against Harry at locals. Like there were games where like I got Star Blitz drawed for like 12 or 16, and I still ended up winning just because if you can like value trade correctly with the Bacchus Curse Dragon tempo, you can still break through. It's obviously really annoying if they proc Star Blitz, but like what can you do? And then also like one thing we realized a lot testing at locals was yeah, Fuller's annoying, but Floodstream's even more annoying of killing the Fuller because there's no armor to protect the Fuller anymore. Obviously, there was a way around it with Scotty, which Caleb showcased really well in the finals and whatnot. Um, but yeah, so like this was just a very generic smag list with the top end of just Bacchus Curse Dragon at insane quantities. I'm a big fan of Curse Dragon because like even if I play Curse Dragon and it snipes one guy off, for me that's still value. Because if you've committed your whole turn to play a one core guy, then I'm just killing off your whole like tempo, and I'm ramping one, and like that's one Curse Dragon gone, but I've still got 3 left, buddy. Like it doesn't matter when I'm playing 4. And yeah, for me this was the right pick for sure. The Turborex was amazing, by the way. Shout out to Turborex. I know Emmy's a huge fan of any Turborex propaganda, but
Man, I can't
Turborex.
believe I didn't play TurboX or Worlds.
Yeah,
Like,
that's the
honestly,
same.
I deserved it, my record
Like
because of
Turborex
Even
won
I
with Games
sided the
Fight.
one with you in mind, Demi.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was so good.
how are we all playing Turbo except for you? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like,
I think when you look into Smag decks, like there's a lot of science that goes into it. I
What-
would say.
sorry, what were your matchups, by the way, and what was your final
Yeah.
score? You didn't.
Oh, sorry. I went 6 wins and 2 losses going into wrapping up day 1, and then unfortunately I lost in top 16, which is still playing on my mind even today. That match. One thing I will give the deck is like I never got 2-0'd whenever I did lose. It was always a very, very like literally down to the wire game 3 every single time I did lose. So for me, the deck just really overperformed. Um, I think the one thing that was different from my list versus all the other Smag lists is they were running a lot more Nexus destruction in the main deck. I only did 2 Andromedas and 2 Burning Force in the main deck. I cited 2 more Andromedas. They just went full like 4 Andromedas main deck and then 2 or 3 Burning Forces in the main deck. I just didn't really have the room for that. I wanted to play my Bacchus Curse Dragon combo at like insane numbers, so I couldn't commit to that. There's the one-off Volcanic Break. I love Volcanic Break as a one-off. I think it's just so good.
amazing
like,
card, so good.
Yeah, like the amount of times I sniped off a Genbu when left at 2 or 3 cores because he's 6k is just so like strong.
That was the main reason I actually put it in my side for Genbu,
Yeah.
but I didn't see any. So
Yeah, I think the sideboard's a bit more interesting. I had 2 Dragno Kings in there. I mean,
yeah, I was going to ask about
I told you
those.
a Dragno King, I guess.
That was interesting choice. Why Dragno King in the side, and did it come up?
So the way I constructed the Smag deck is, in my mind, the top end of Smag decks is always around 6 copies of a color of your top end. So I do the 4 Elephants, 2 Aegis, that's 6. I know I do 3 Bacchus, 4 Curse Dragon, that's 7, but it could also be 6 if you just take off like a Curse Dragon, and I did 2 Andromeda in the main deck, but I sided 2 more Andromedas and 2 Dragono Kings, which builds it to 6. So for me, I always wanted my top end to have 6 of a color. It's a weird number, but for some reason it just worked in my mind, and so I had the 2 Andromedas in the side deck, and I was like, right, I need to play 2 more of a red card to help me against yellow. The choices were either 2 Novas or 2 Dragono Kings, and I hadn't really tested Nova much, so I didn't really feel comfortable putting it in the list. Turns out everyone else who did better than me played the Novas. But the Dragono King was just kind of a cool guy because he's just Volcanic Break on a body, and I can confirm it came up. I played 3 yellows, so Dragono King was very, very, very happy.
Yeah,
game 1.
Yellow's fodder for Dragono King for sure.
Well, it was even better against my round 1 against David because I think they played a Genbu and I sniped the Genbu off of a Dragono King, and then they played Enterprise, and I'm just like, okay, swing 15k with my Dragono King now every single turn, and your Enterprise just doesn't do anything. So that blown him out. But yeah, whenever I play Dragono King, it always got a good reaction, which is really awesome. The three Derms, I think the worst matchups were White Control. That's the harsh reality. You play Derm Diner. Like Derm Diner is still one of the best cards in the game.
Oh yeah.
For no good reason, just unblockable. Go bro.
It's a stupid card. Let's be honest. Like
yeah,
my old deck was basically based around that card, and it performed so well.
It was really good. The Andromedas are there because Andromeda is my favorite card. It's like my favorite 6-drop in the entire game. It's just so efficient. Like it clears Nexuses, it clears Spirits, it's got Confront. What else do you need, right? It's a starter deck boss monster.
As long as you don't run into Forest of Steel Leaves, this card is one of the best cards in the game, I think. And the confront is really relevant. Like I don't know, whenever I play good players that are using Nebula, they always just use confront really well, and it's such a pain.
Yep. You win games based on that, and one thing as well that I really liked is because I've got Dragono King. If I put the Soul Core on Andromeda and confront and kill your guy, I'm popping another card as well, thanks to Dragono King's second effect. So that's something that came up as well. And I guess the other really interesting sideboard card was 3 Grey Gamma.
The GOAT. I love that card.
I just liked it a lot. Like it is really good for me at local. It's good against red. It's good against white. It's a armor white card for Derm Diner, and
it dodges Apollodinus really well. That's what attracted me to it most. Because you can leave it at 2 cores on 3k, and then it blocks for 6k. I don't know. It was just in testing against red mid range. This thing was just a behemoth. He was like impossible to play around. I felt like so.
Yeah, and I guess to quickly summarize the matches, like I played 3 yellows overall, all 3 Fabled Beasts. Beat all 3 of them. They were the matchup I was a bit worried about the most. I forgot his name. It's one of the Hong Kong players. He played Fabled Beasts. I think he got top 8 at PT2. I forgot your name. So sorry. But that was
Chechen, I think is his name.
Maybe. I don't know. I wouldn't know how to pronounce the name either. I'm so sorry. But that was the closest one because we went to time and we went to deck count. But against Fabled Beasts, they draw a lot, so you're winning on deck count. I played against a white aggro. That was scary. Round 5, by the way. So they were 4-1 going into round 5.
Crazy.
Most smag lists get cooked, but 4 Curse Dragon goes pretty hard, and in game 2, game 3, the Great Gammas come in. So it was actually quite a. In game 3, they went like they basically went. If you've got Curse Dragon, you got it. They went 6 spirits wide, and were like, all right, let's go for it. And I was like, Curse Dragon.
Absolute madness, man. I bet you were licking your lips. Yep. That's kind of perfect for you, really.
If I didn't draw it, that was it, So
that immediate swing though, if they just 1 core across the board and you just like ramp 6 and then they've got nothing, that's game over. There's no coming back from that. That is literally it.
It was pretty brutal. So yeah, and I played against my losses were against Colin Kaiser, who got 2nd place with Smag in the mirror. Basically I lost some time. It was really, really close game. He ended up going Nova into Nova and healing back to 5, and it was kind of GG from there. Very close. Like basically it came down to finding. I was just digging, man. I set my burst. I was like trying to reduce my hand size to play Aegis. I had Baculus. I was looking for Curse Dragon, and basically I played the Aegis. And the game was so close. He was just like
your build was in a
card,
similar vein to theirs, right? But they use like a kind of a bit more purple removal. Obviously, you're using Curse Dragon, so that's kind of purple removal in itself.
They had more red removal with 4 Andromedas in the main deck and 2 Seaglems. But overall, like that was a really good game. Very close game 3. I lost against Dango, Anthony Alvarez. He's Mandala White Control, that's what he's known for. Again, very close game 3, as per usual. But thankfully, tiebreakers were really good. And then I lost to Alberto, Italian player, I believe. In top 16, he played the Android Tempo mid-range deck. I look at the list, and I'm just like, I don't know what the fuck I'm playing against, man. Like, what? Like, how do you play around this list?
I think.
I think for him, like, my deck is kind of like ideal for him because it is quite a slow deck, and like if you play Smag, it's just gonna get bounced back every time. It was a really close game. He blew me out game 1. I managed to scrape game 2. We did have an unfortunate situation where like I had an Hour Rain at 5 cores. He played Volcanic Break, and after paying, he realized Hour Rain was 8k, not 6k, and the judge was like, "Yeah, you paid it," kind of thing. So he did have to whiff a Volcanic Break in there, but he got the win in the end, right? Game 3 was really interesting because we had 11 minutes on the clock. He sided in all 10 cards of his sideboard. I chose not to because I was like, no, I can probably win still. Like I don't, it's 11 minutes left. And his consistency reduced a lot. And basically, I had Turbo X in my hand. It was all Gucci. Like he had 2 Enterprises in his entire deck. He went to pay 8 cores, and I was like, if this is Elephant, I'm smoking him out with Turbo X. And he played the Enterprise, and I was like, fuck my life. He drew one of the 2 Enterprises with a 60-card deck. And
then, and that just turns Turbo Rex off completely, basically.
Yeah, he was dead for the whole game.
Yeah.
And the final push was like, we were going to time. I went 6 cards. Like he swung with everything, and I was like, well, it's probably Ice Shield, but like, surely they don't get Ice Shield and Enterprise in the top 60. So I just went 6 cards swing, and it was Ice Shield. And I'm like, fair play, man, GG. But that's what you need sometimes. It's always a bit of luck, right? That's how you get there. So congrats to him. Unfortunately, he lost straight away after beating me, so that kind of blew. But yeah, overall, it was a good event.
Yeah, well done, man. On 6-2 at Worlds
congrats.
is no easy feat. The field was all the best players pretty much that we have in the community were there. So there were a few missing.
I'm happy with the deck, and I told myself if I got any good placement, like top 32 or above, I would bling out the deck as like a thank you. We got top 16, so we did go and bling out the deck. So obviously, we've got the 4 SPR Hour Reigns there. But of course, we did bling it out. So let me just put her out. We did give her the upgrade treatment now. And again, like I said, you gotta thank your deck for doing well. So we've got the 4 Dream Bombs as well.
Oh, this guy.
Reflection. And of course, the one other staple card was the 4-star Blessed Draws as well. I will say, talking about that, the difference between my list and all the Americans is they like strong draw. The Americans always love playing strong draws in their lists. It's a card I've never been a big fan of, personally. I don't know how you guys feel about that card.
It's good. It's good if you're using recursion strategies like what Harry does. Like you can pick and choose what you've got in your trash. But yeah, no. Generally, I prefer Star Bless. I like to plus more than cycle or both.
Blessed won't be about forever, though, guys.
Stop it, Harry.
Play strong draw soon, guys.
Stop it, Harry. Yeah. We need to counter those pesky on summons.
Yeah, for me, what kind of like clicked was when we did the deck profile with Caleb, who won. So congrats again to him. We'll put the link to the video. If
we'll have to try. We'll have to try and get Caleb on maybe for like as a guest.
That'll be nice.
Our first guest of season 2, the world champ. That'd be cool. I'm sure he would.
Yeah, super nice to just straight after winning, coming with us and doing a debt profile. But one thing I realize is that if you're really consistent in your numbers, strong draw becomes essentially a hand fix. It's not drawing, is fixing your hand.
Yeah,
Because if you
absolutely.
have four of a card, four of a card, four of a card, four of a card, the scene in the finals, like he was just doing strong draw to make sure that he would just pitch away the Andromedas that were not needed because there were no Nexus on the other side. There were no targets. Didn't need to confront. So essentially, strong draw is not drawing, is hand fixing. And I
Yeah,
think
absolutely, yeah.
Europeans, like, we don't like cards that don't give you +1 or +2.
It's
So
because
I think
it's because all the cards we run
all-
are good, so we don't need to fix our hands. We
One-
just get more.
One thing
We're
to
all
also
obsessed
shout
with
out to
Volcanic Canyon as well. Like Canyon and Strong
Yeah.
Draw are
Yeah,
pretty
it's-
interchangeable in that respect.
Yeah,
One
exactly.
thing about strong draw as well is the power gain. Like I think one thing I definitely felt was a bit lacking from my build was I had no like BP manipulation or BP tricks, while their list had like suppressions and strong draws, which sometimes does come out. You know, like when you're trying to like make the opponent crash into your elephant, for example, if they try and like power down their stuff, you can just rebuff it back up. I think I'm gonna be testing the card more. But and ultimately, I forgot to mention, but like the main reason I love this deck is because it's a no Nexus deck. No Nexuses here. You can't brick on Nexuses in this deck. It's not possible. They
Yeah,
don't exist.
that's a fair one, and you also can't get killed by Dyna as easily, which is
Yeah, Dyna's
like
a big deal.
you were
actually.
saying you were saying it was your worst matchup, White Control, so that's definitely a smart play.
It's when sorry, I should rephrase it. The Enterprise is your worst matchup.
Yeah, the Enterprise just in general, yeah.
Yeah, if you don't have the combo, your Turborex does nothing.
But yeah, so that's about it for the Worlds roundup, guys. Is there any like final thoughts regarding the Worlds before we
Yes.
we wrap up today?
As well, I have a couple of things on Kieran's deck. If
Yeah,
Oh
absolutely.
yeah, go on. Yeah. Please.
like not questions so much as compliments. Like firstly, in that, you know, like me, Emmy, Frankie, a bunch of others, like, you know, we've been to locals, we've been going to the same locals for like, you know, December and January. I think this is the deck that Kieran has been playing from early December. Like me, Emmy, Frankie, like we all made quite radical changes in short periods of time. Kieran was on Smag, Ramp, Infernal Bacillus, GG. So like to see you do so well with it in this context is like really refreshing, and to hear the rationale behind it, where it's like, you know, a lot of it from a competitive optimization point of view, but also just sentiment and being like, these are cards I like, or these are cards that have done well for me. I think it's really good to hear. Then also on that, I guess we discussed this a bit when it came to Caleb's deck, and I think in the sort of more national tournaments, the meta is quite specialized. So like, you know, we all had good overall ramp smag decks, but then they just lose to like Enox Mandala Pile every time, to where we're like, oh, I can't take this to Worlds, because in a specialized meta, a generally good deck might not do as well. But then this was quite a generalized tournament, so as we saw with the winners deck, your deck, I'd say like Sampo's Purple, Theo's Nova, like they're all examples of just like good decks in a general sense. And so the fact that a good smag list won and yours did very well again, like I think it's just really nice to see overall. Like we'd much rather that this sort of style do well than like another tournament dominated by Fable Beast or Control White even, or Mandala, or just like one thing. Like this was really cool. So
Well,
again,
I think
kudos
it's
to you.
also interesting because, like, you know, we went from the last event being won by Fable Beast and got second and runner up by Fable Beast to, I mean, Long Dao played Luster more. Like Fable Beast weren't even in the top cut at all.
Yeah,
and first place.
long-sided the Gembu, right? He didn't.
Yeah,
he didn't make
that
it.
was something that just a quick one, but like, so after we did our last video on the tier list, make sure you watch it if you haven't watched that. We spoke about Luster very briefly, and then after that, I went away and tested Luster literally straight after that podcast episode, and then me, Aaron, everyone else were like, "This deck's actually pretty good," and then we proceeded to take it to locals and do very well. I just the skill level on the deck is too high for me to learn in like a week and feel comfortable. Aaron decided to go and pilot it. So I'm not surprised that a player like Longdao went away and like won with that same mindset of main deck Michaela side into Genbus. And also congrats to Smag for getting like what, first, second, and third. That's pretty good. And also congrats to Alex and Caleb and Longdao because they are the 3 PT winners, right? And they all got into top 4 at Worlds, which is like...
What was interesting as well was that in the last tournament, Smaug actually didn't do too well, did it? It was like
it didn't get in top 16 at all.
Exactly, which is crazy. The turnaround, like between the PT, which is not even a month prior, and then it comes back, and then everyone's like, everyone's juicing for the deck.
That's sort of the point. Like the PT would have been a very specialized meta, and it was, as it turned out. It was like a ton of Fable Beast, and in that sort of hyper specialized meta, like generally good decks that have quite even matchups against everything maybe don't do as well. So this was definitely like a learning experience to see that at the biggest stage, just like good deck that has pretty good matchups across the board, piloted by a good player, can take it all.
Absolutely. What would you guys say the percentage in the room was? Because I feel like it was a majority red, really. There was a lot of Smaug multicolor, but I mean, red just seemed like the prominent choice, and I think that was probably spurred by the dominance of yellow in the PT.
I saw a lot of yellow, and I don't know who I was speaking to about this.
Strange, I didn't see any.
Really? Yeah, I didn't see.
Yeah, I don't know who I was speaking to someone about this, and I think the reason why yellow was very, and Fable Beast players don't take any offense to this, but Fable Beast did really well in the last 2 events, and it's also not a very hard deck to play. Like, it's very easy. You play Nexus, you go bro. So a lot of people, because don't forget, Worlds pass down very far down, and I feel like for a lot of people, again, no offense to anyone, but I think a lot of people who, like, if it passed down to like 90th, 80th, like my friend Nathan, for example, he literally passed down to him. He did terrible at the PT, like 2. He got like win like 2 and 5, but he went to Wells. He was like, well, you know what? I'm just gonna play Fable Beast because it did really well and it looks like an easy deck to play. And I think a lot of people took Fable Beasts and they kind of got blown out by the more skilled players, I would say. And I think that maybe kind of hurt the deck overall in terms of its numbers, because not many top players brought Fabled Beast. A few of them did. I know the Hong Kong players, for example, but not many did. I don't know what.
I think the fact that a lot of us were probably using the benchmark of can this deck beat Fabled Beast as like the first sort of hurdle as well. That kind of probably added to the sad times for the players. But
yeah, I feel also like. Sorry, Kieran. No, go for it.
No, please.
No, I interrupt.
I'll interrupt you both then to make this less awkward. Emmy, Frankie, was Frankie playing a Fabled Beast kind of build mainly?
Yes.
How did he do?
I think he ended also 4-4.
Ran into a lot of red, I guess. I imagine.
Yeah, he was maining elephants, and he was maining 2 rock golems.
That was spicy. Love that.
Swing, take a Nexus back, because it worked pretty well for him.
Testing, that card was really good as well. The 7k stat line, very nice.
It's really good because Andromeda is a great card. Everyone is teching against yellow. We had that bar set. If this deck doesn't beat yellow at least 50%, let's not use it. But I think we over-indexed on that because I don't know, that yellow Fable Beast last yearish list from TD just felt really unfair. It was just so consistent. It felt really unfair.
I actually tested with that deck quite a bit as well, mainly for people to test into, and it was more consistent than I cared for it to be. I was like, this is, I was winning a lot of games. I was like, I don't want to be winning these games. This is, I was thinking about going yellow, but no, I just felt like it was going to be a room full of red. I don't know why.
Ultimately, the ramp.
In theory, it kind of was, right, because the Smag lists were on a very red heavy top end from TD and the Caleb guys,
Exactly, yeah.
So in theory, it was a lot.
Yeah,
of red,
I mean, when I played against the TD deck, it was fine because of that. Because they were using red top end. It was they had a core theft and stuff as well. which was
By
just
the
so
way,
obsolete.
I'll just say that I'm just gonna take equity for credits for everyone that plays Nova top end from here now, because like I'm, it's not that big brain, but like everyone saw it, I think, on during PT. Just splash 2 Nova and just fucking carry the game, and they're like, everyone's like, oh, actually, can I play Nova and Ascend on itself? So let me just
Get your
play this
copyrighted,
card.
mate.
This will be the second instance of me pulling up old WhatsApp messages.
Yeah.
Me traveling out, and I'm like, play Nova,
Yeah.
please.
To be fair, yes. But still, I'll have my 2% equity on every deck that plays Nova from here now.
Same for me with Baldir, because no one's going to play anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I was the only person who played it. I think I was the only person that played it the whole of Worlds, which is interesting.
And in any competitive stage, for sure. But the fact that it bounces with 1 core,
yeah,
I couldn't believe that, to be honest.
Yeah,
really
it's funny card. I hope to use it in the future, but I don't think it's going to do anything. I think it was just a random rogue call. But yeah, we need to kind of wrap up here. We were going to talk about some season 2 stuff, but we're a little low on time. So next episode, guys, will be fully season 2 immersive. Probably another tier list. We're going to talk about our favorite cards. Maybe even incorporate a game into next podcast. We'll see. We'll see how adventurous we're feeling. But I do
have a quick question time on the round, if I can take
Yeah, I was going to say, we're going into question time on the round. Kieran, as you did the best at Worlds out of all of us, you can have it this month, this week.
My question is to everyone, and I'll go first once I ask it, but I'm going to ask everyone, I want to know your favorite moment about Worlds and your least favorite thing about Worlds. So 1 point each. So my example would be, my favorite thing was kind of just, I guess, being with everyone, like all the Americans, all the Asian players, all the Europe players. Like, again, it's an amazing community. We've said this many times, but we literally can't stress enough for the amount of cash prize in this game. The community is insanely good. So being with everyone was amazing. The worst part for me was probably where the BSS game area was, like next to the main stage. So between rounds, we had like,
I was getting battered by Aaron while there was a concert going on. I swear, it was just
it was so bad.
I wanted to tear my hair out. Yeah, it was awful. Yeah.
I've only been to 2 World Finals, and this was probably the worst of the 2, from a gameplay point of view.
It was actually laughable how bad it was when they were doing the showcases during our rounds. It was like, oh my god, could you not at least like let them do the showcase and wait for us to have our round? Right?
The Day 2 side event was a disaster. Anyone who took part in that knows, but I'm not going to speak about that.
Yeah. We can rant about stuff in the next video, I guess.
Yeah,
because there would be a fair bit to rant about.
All right, we'll get there.
Josh, you go next.
I'll answer mine. My favorite moment. Again, I don't want to be generic, but it was hanging out. We had a nice house there, and Kieran, you came round with the boys, and we had like 14 of us all playing at the same time, all getting real sweaty, trying to decide, when the deadline was coming in to do our lists, and we were all like shouting at each other, like, "You got to confirm your list, guys! Come on!" It was just like the unity was really nice. In the gameplay, my favorite moment was definitely the OTK 5 damage on turn 13. It was, I don't know, I don't get super like excited where I express myself very often. And I just couldn't hold it in there. I was literally like, yes. But yeah, no. Worst part of it, probably the queuing up for, like, I know we were there to play a tournament, but the expo part of it mainly a lot of it just seemed like queuing up to get promos, which is kind of lame, really. And the
queuing up was pretty bad, yeah.
Yeah, like, for example, when we went to get our starter decks to play the tournament, it took us an hour and 45 minutes to get our starter deck, and I was in there on the minute that they let us in. So it was wild. I managed to get my deck 5 minutes before registration. I ended up actually losing one because you got to buy 2 decks. I ended up actually losing one of my decks because I was in such a rush trying to sleeve up that I just left it on the side, which is so stupid. But no, but yeah. Other than that, yeah, great time. It's just great to be with everyone and a nice roundup to a really fun year. And you know, no regrets joining the Battle Spirits kind of community. It's a great game, and I'm pleased to have transitioned from Dragon Ball into this game, to be honest. So, Emmy?
Yeah, +1. I think that's my favorite part of it is really just like being there and celebrating with everyone. Like it's been, well, not even a year, but like the first year, like for me, like just picking up a new TCG after not playing TCGs for like years and years and finding such, you know, positive community and I don't know, like so many different experiences. We got to start a podcast. I got to cast one of the grand opens, travel a bunch, and yeah.
George, if you need someone for another casting, get the Nexus boys. We'll do it.
Exactly.
We'll do it for you.
I'm sure we'll do it at some point, season 2, year 2. But
no, we're not the only podcast. I can't say that.
No, shout out to the absolute BSS.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And we accept your challenge, by the way, guys.
Yes.
We'll be in touch. In touch.
But yeah, just a lot of like highs and lows, just like life, you know, and a lot of good memories. I think one of the best times I was like watching the final and I was like, wow, this is one Battle Spirit game that I'm actually excited to watch. Because like usually like the games, like because we play so much, like we kind of like know what's going on and know what's going to happen. Yeah, it's a bit telegraphed. But that game, especially game 2, like when, you know, Caleb had the Scotty and then just played Fulla, and I think the commentary was like pretty, you know, quiet about it, and I was like, fuck, that's huge, like nothing can happen. And like with the Scotty down, how Caleb was playing with the Soul Core to put it either to save everything or to put it on a spirit that he wanted for it to be target, or oh my god, one of the play was insane. I think Colin played Bacchus to do Bacchus King and remove all the cores, Star Blast, pay the Star Blast from the spirits to draw 4. So then if you do, and the only spirit was left was Elephant. So if Colin played the King Curse, would have like give Caleb more than what Colin would have got.
Yeah. So basically avoiding the ramp.
Yeah, so
incredible.
Honestly, great plays from Caleb. Is truly, honestly, the best player in the world. So that was a great moment where I was like, damn, I really love this game. I think I have nothing else like bad, quote unquote, to add on what you already said. It was just like a bit difficult to play. Like I literally had a round where I screamed no flash because my opponent was like, what? And I had to scream no flash in front of their face. But yeah, other than that, amazing weekend, amazing celebration of this year, and just big shout out. I guess we can do shout out at the end, but like just big shout out to everyone.
No, you can shout out now. This is basically the end anyway, so go ahead. Shout outs.
I'll let Harry go first.
Go on then, Harry.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, shout out me first. So yeah, funnily, I didn't realize until earlier today, the first game of Battle Spirits I ever played was a year ago today. And that deck also had 4 Infinity Mothership in it, so I've gone right back to square one. But
same happened to me. White Control. I started on that, so I went full circle back to where I started. Yeah,
it's there and back again, a true tale. But yeah, I think in terms of the highs again, it's similar. Like I flew out a week early to see people who have not seen for like 15 years or something, like family, friends from when I was like a kid in Asia, and it's like, yeah, you know, getting to see everyone was just amazing. And then similarly in terms of us and our community, like Josh, you were there on the Sunday when we went to Santa Monica Pier. Obviously, it was like
awesome time.
mixed feelings amongst the group in terms of, you know, disappointment and not doing well and stuff like that, but just having, and I think I said when we were at dinner as well, just like that sort of moment of poignancy when it's like I'm sat there with yourself and Julia and Sampo and R2 and the ghosts of Aaron and Andre. Little mini adventure, and it's just like I said, I'm like, who would have thought, you know, when we first got into Battle Spirits and we're picturing how Worlds is going to go in our head, that it would have gone this way. And like, I think Julia thought I meant that like we would do badly, but I'm like, no, like to be surrounded by such lovely people who I didn't even know a year ago, and now it's like we're traveling around the world together, we're doing podcasts together, like we're hanging out outside of cards and stuff like that as well. It's just like it's just really
we're all from different like ways of life, and you know, different interests as well, which is something that's I think very unique about card games. Is it brings different people together, you know, and that's something I really like about it. It's like we're all the people in our community are interesting characters in their own right, and it's great. And Santa Monica was awesome. It was like being in GTA for reals. So it was like,
honestly, it was so cute. I will quickly say, like, the one thing that I would say as a negative as well, like we heard a story of someone getting mugged outside the venue. I think they were held at gunpoint or something like that. I think from what I've seen, it's because at the end of day one for One Piece, it was like they were the only ones still there because they were the only ones still playing. But if you weren't playing, you were sort of shooed out of the venue, which meant that a lot of people were stuck on their own. And this would have been at like 9-10 p.m. Like
downtown LA is not a very nice place to be at that time.
Pretty dodgy by any standard. Like, I think obviously they wanted a big venue, big capacity. They achieved the metrics from a market point of view that I think they were after. But I would implore them, when it comes to organizing events, especially of this scale, to bear the more holistic aspects in mind. Like, obviously we had a great time visiting the US and stuff like that, but it is a lot of the time a logistical nightmare for people outside of the US to visit the US, and then picking somewhere like that where it's a level above in terms of risk and like needing a car to get around everywhere. Like, I was fortunate to get lifts everywhere, but like,
don't be throwing expensive promos at us and then throwing us out of the venue, you know. It's
right outside the ends.
It's mad.
11, I heard, like, they had to start very late.
They had multiple instances where there was discrepancies with results, and like one between one game
and stuff.
It was like 2 hours between one round at one point, and it seems like there was a lot of issues. I think they had 2,500 players as well. You know, that obviously is.
Our organization was really bad as well, but like the One Piece one actually put people at risk. Like, and isn't anyone's like fault or deliberate. Again, it's just
no, not at all.
It just needs to be said, because again, like, imagine being that poor person, and it's like it could have been any of us, really.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So, worth mentioning.
But so we're pretty much done here. Do some shout outs for the whole Worlds thing before we go. Just want to shout out Enoch and Andis, for they were the ones that really helped me the most on the white deck. Basically they
helped all of us with all of our decks. Like, they are incredibly helpful, incredibly open book, and they're just passionate about the game. Like, Andis, I think, postponed his masters to attend Worlds.
Yeah, he did.
Like, insane commitment. And like, we spoke to a lot of people in terms of, are you planning to play next year? We're all planning to play next year. The most common sentiment I heard was like, oh, it depends on the prize money. But then to just see like Andis, Enoch with just a love for the game, a love for the OCG game as well. We got to see them play the Japanese game, which was great fun. Like, amazing guys.
Yeah, I mean, they both said that I shouldn't play white control, and I was just a hard-headed idiot, and I was like, I'm gonna play white control, guys, and I need your help. Andy's put me onto Bulldeer, and I just ran with it, really. So massive thanks to. Without those guys, I don't think I would have got to where I was. I put in enough time really. Like I should have put more time in. That's kind of why I went for White Control. It was like old reliable for me. And yeah, just shout out to Andre as well, my main team homie. He didn't do so well on the day, but he's literally the most positive and high-spirited person to be around. And I mean, he just made the trip better in general. And yeah, we're looking forward to spending more time with him on the road playing this game. Hopefully, if he doesn't get locked into about a million other games that he plays. But yeah, what about you, Kieran? What any thank yous before we head out?
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously shout out to the testing crew, Taco Club, Reborn. It's still around. So Sampo, Aaron, R2, Way as well. Everyone's there. Obviously, huge shout out to the Play Nation guys who come down as well. I mean, that's where this deck was mostly tested, right? So, gonna shout out obviously Harry, Emmy, Frankie, Josh, Ben. Kieran wishes he could be there, but he's not there. And everyone who goes Play Nation, you know who you are. You absolutely know.
Get wrecked, Kieran.
And shout out to Tyler, the guy who I stole his deck from Pasadena and then won a Grand Open. I met him at Worlds. It's very nice meeting him in person. We actually did talk quite briefly about Worlds lists. He did mention they were on some spicy stuff, including Smag. He couldn't reveal what it was. It was Scuddy in the end. But he pointed us, or pointed myself, to a direction of Smag, just not directly the right way. But yeah, that was.
It was like, no way I'm giving you another deck you can win.
Basically,
with.
It was like, basically he was like, yeah, we're gonna make Smag work. And I was like, well, they've probably made Smag work, so I'm gonna take Smag and go with my gut. And in the end, it kind of paid off. So. And shout out to obviously the podcast, been an amazing thing for the last however long we've been doing it for at this point. And we're still going to be here for year 2, even if cash prize goes bye-bye. So don't worry about us. We're going to be here.
Maybe not year 3, but yeah, we're committed. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Let's see. Yeah, let's see how it goes. Yeah, big shout out from me as well to this group and the Battle Spirit boys. Shout out to Harry for like creating a WhatsApp group that became like just a group and then became this podcast. So like huge shout out to Harry, and I guess like a wholesome shout out to my partner that essentially saw me ascending to oblivion in this TCG last year and just supported me all the way through. Like she has been like super supportive and on the highs and the lows. I probably would have, dumped my ass if I was testing until 2 a.m. and just like every Saturday disappearing, going to locals. So yeah, shout out to her. Thank you.
All right, and finally, Harry.
Oh shit. Yeah, no. Shout out all of you, obviously. Obviously, shout out the Rangers as well.
The boys. Hope to see the Rangers back in season 2. Come back.
And Anthony's gonna second to the world of fusion, and Connor's obsessed with Magic. But we have some new additions to the team. I'll give a special shout out to Julia as well. Again, like she was super helpful. Let me stay with her in New Jersey, drove me around everywhere. When we got to LA, by complete coincidence, her work lent her a car for while she was there, managed to pick me up at the airport. And also we got to drive around and like get some really cool clothes, and she took me to like a big vintage costume store that had things from movies from ages ago. It was really cool. And again, like I would have had to have forked out jillions of dollars driving around everywhere if not for that. So yeah, just and again, like I mean, brings up the group chat. It's strange in that like when I was talking to her, she was like, yeah, like I'm really grateful you added me to the chat. And it's like, just like the chat's welcome to everyone if you love battle spirits and you aren't toxic. Basically, it's like the one rule. So I've been very privileged. Like obviously Kieran is OG group chat. He'll remember launch event. It was like we just played together, and it's like, oh, I had fun playing you, man. Like, do you want to join this group chat? Josh, Andre, I think you were like day ones or day twos
I
as well.
I wasn't day one. Andre was, but I came in a bit. I came in a little later.
It's just like, you know, you chat to Andre for 2 seconds and you're like, bro, like you're super safe. Come in the chat. So like,
I mean, Andre,
all this is awesome.
I sing his praises a lot, but he is honestly such a nice guy. Like he's the Andre's the reason I've been motivated to continue playing. Honestly, so he always pep talks me out of anything sad about this game. So. But
is the sunshine. Mr. Sunshine, I love Andre.
He is. But yeah,
shout out Jamie as well, Mr. Soulcore. We'll give
the meme generator. Yeah,
our meme champion.
But yeah, no. So all right, so that was a lot of shout outs, guys. And if you're still here, thanks for watching. We will be back next week to talk about year 2, set 4, Hydra, baby, hail Hydra.
We'll see.
We will see. But yeah, so thanks everyone for watching, and yeah, we really appreciate you. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you all next time. Peace.
Yeah.